Okay, so let's continue our conversation about liver health and get into some additional strategies such as fasting. So, where's my screen share here? Okay. So, in the last section, we went over the fact that sometimes the liver just needs a break from different food and toxins. So, the extreme way of giving the liver a break is just straight up don't eat for a certain period of time, which is called fasting. Okay. So, remember how I said that the blood flow from the digestive tract goes straight to the liver, right? So the liver a lot of times is very, very busy cleaning up this blood from the digestive tract, right? So if we are just not eating for a certain period of time, then we're not getting all of those like food particles and, toxins and other things that the liver has to worry about coming in from our food. So it has a lot more time to concentrate on other things. So fasting has been become a very popular strategy for like cancer therapy, for example, because then your body has a lot more time to work on anti-tumor um, cleanup and glutathione optimization, which is a molecule we talked about in the last uh, PowerPoint. And if we can add in some of these additional strategies, such as coffee enemas that we're going to get into, then we can even amplify the amount of things that get eliminated from our digestive tract when it also has a break from digesting food. So, your liver is going to be benefited from this, but also your digestive tract can be benefited from fasting as well, because if you don't eat for a certain period of time, you can actually help to kill off some of the damaging bacteria that can cause things, especially like small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. If you listen to that part of the gut presentation and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm definitely a SIBO person, fasting is a really great way to get rid of SIBO as well. We've had clients that have done extended fasts, up to a week, where that really helps to kill off any super resistant infections, because infections in the stomach survive off of what you feed them. And if you stop feeding them everything, they die. So it can be a good gut reset as well as a liver break to help with optimizing our detox systems. So a lot of people would benefit from doing some type of fasting because the standard American eats 3 meals a day and probably a million snacks. So our liver is constantly having to battle food coming from the digestive tract and blood sugar fluctuations. Um, so if we can, again, eliminate at least some of the snacking, or if maybe we can eliminate a meal a day, that gives our liver a lot more time to do what it needs to. But there are many different ways to go about fasting, which is what we're going to get into. Like in the last presentation, we said the best thing that we can do is, like don't eat really late at night. Don't be snacking, right before bed. So that way you can hit your liver detox times from that 11 p.m. to 3 in the morning. Because definitely if you have a bunch of food or alcohol on your system at those hours, then you're really going to be sacrificing a lot of liver detoxification. So rule number one, just don't eat late snacks and you're going to be getting part of the way to fasting, because most of us do fast while we sleep, right? Like, for example, we go to bed at 8 p.m. and then wake up at like 6 a.m. and then we do our walk and whatever, and then we eat after that. So like I default always fast for about 12 hours. But a lot of times if you're more in like vacation mode, or if you do have like a nightlife, um, then a lot of times you are, eating and drinking and things like a lot later at night and skipping some of these detox pathways. So fasting options in order of difficulty. So probably the easiest is just doing a fruit and veggie cleanse for a couple days. So you'll notice there are highlighted days in the middle of your liver program that will say, just eat fruits and veggies for the days that are highlighted in yellow. So we'll say like that's the easiest one to start with. Moving up from there, we have like intermittent fasting to master cleanse to a 24-hour cleanse to a bone broth cleanse to extended cleanse. So we're going to go through most of these like one by one But I mean, fruit and veggie cleanse is what it sounds like. You just eat fruits and vegetables for 3 days from the list that is in your binder, and then the rest of these will go through. Um, so other things you can do on the fruit and veggie cleanses, you can do liquids only, where you can buy juices. So feel free to get any fruit and vegetable juice. Like I know we just got a fruit and vegetable bar downtown where you can go get some of these pre-made. So if your town has one of these, juice cleanse kind of stores, you can go buy pre-mixed ones, but be careful of box grocery stores, because a lot of times theirs has like a lot of added sugar. So you just want it to be just the fruits and vegetables as the ingredients if you want to make it like a liquids only fruit and veggie cleanse for those middle 3 days. The master cleanse is what you see on the left here. So when you do a master cleanse, you're doing 3 days of these ingredients in a drink. So I've done this where you do like, lemon juice, maple syrup, maybe a tiny bit of cayenne pepper and sea salt. And you just kind of like drink that continuously for 3 days straight, right? So you're getting at least a little bit of electrolytes from, the salt, the lemon, the maple juice, and then a little bit of like fat burning boost from the cayenne pepper. I felt like that was a very, like not a super difficult cleanse, because it was basically just like drinking lemonade for 3 days straight. So it's a pretty pleasant program to go through for sure. And that would be another completely appropriate thing to use those highlighted days for in the middle of this detox program. Is you can definitely do like the master cleanse for 3 days and just drink that the stuff in that photo for 3 days, and that would be appropriate. The good thing about the master cleanse too is you don't tend to have as many of the sugar withdrawal type symptoms that you're going to get from, just straight up not eating for 3 days, and you're not going to get as much of like the stomach yelling at your brain. But the fact that you are getting kind of like a constant small dose of sugar throughout the 3 days, I think it doesn't teach your brain as much about becoming sugar independent as some of these other options are going to. So what is intermittent fasting? So intermittent fasting is when you choose a certain amount of hours that you're going to eat per day. So most people will choose like 12 to 8 or 11 to 7 as their eating hours, right? So they'll have two big meals, like maybe the first one at 11 a.m. and then your last one at 5 p.m. And those are kind of like, a big lunch, big dinner. And then you don't eat anything except for water after those times. And then you wake up in the morning, you only have 0-calorie drinks. So like usually just coffee, tea, or water in the morning until you get to that eating window. The good and bad things about intermittent fasting. I had a really hard time getting enough protein in during intermittent fasting. So, if you need to eat, like, let's say 120 grams of protein a day, it's really hard to eat 2 servings of 60 grams of protein if your body's not used to digesting a massive amount of meat at a time. So that can be like a hindering factor. Also, people that do a lot of their workouts and trainings like really early in the morning, like my husband and I usually work out really early in the morning. So, um, doing that type of a workout and then not eating till like noon, not the best for me. Really, if I do intermittent fasting, I usually just eat until 4 p.m. and then I'm done eating at 4 p.m. and I kind of skip dinner, because I really want some of my food more around the times that I'm active and I'm working out. And, in the evening, like when I'm home just relaxing with my family, then it's easier for me to fast during those times. So I'm actually better at the skipping dinner than the skipping breakfast, but it really just depends on, your schedule and what works best for you. Don't feel like you have to do 12 to 8, like it's in this photo. Like you can change what your window is depending on your schedule, right? This is just an example schedule of how you would pick, the 8 hours that you're going to eat, and then you would fast for the remainder. There are some people that take this even more extreme and just go to like one meal a day, but I have thus far not ever had a patient successfully do one meal a day fasting, because usually it's so hard to eat the amount of protein that you need in one meal. Like, you have to have a super, super efficient digestive capacity to be able to eat like 120 grams of protein at once. Like, your body can only digest about 40 grams of protein an hour. So it's like that is just a lot on your system to try to just be hitting it all in one meal. If you can do it, cool, but I feel like it's more harm than good for most of my patients. It tends to really freak out their adrenals because it increases your stress levels. Like, any level of fasting increases your stress levels. That's usually why I don't introduce it until like a full 6 weeks into this program, because I don't want to be like spiking your cortisol and making you weight loss resistant and just like increasing your stress to the point where your brain wants to explode because you're only eating one meal a day and your blood sugar's not ready for it yet. So, if you're an extreme adrenal case, then, you might want to think twice about going into some of the more intense fasts, because you don't want to really overdo your adrenals too fast and before you're ready. This is definitely something that, if you're not comfortable starting it 6 weeks into this program, you can wait and put it in later when you feel like you're more stable and more advanced into your metabolism. Another great cleanse option, which is going to be kind of similar to the master cleanse, is doing a bone broth cleanse. So these are just a couple brands of bone broth that I put in here. So you can either buy, the jars, you can buy the boxes, you can buy powdered, um, like whatever your preference is on types of bone broth. And then, yeah, you literally can just drink bone broth for as many days in a row as you can tolerate, honestly. But I feel like 3 days is like a really good goal, because most of your optimal like fasting capacity happens in the first 3 days, and then after 3 days it kind of like dwindles to less of a benefit. So 3 days is always a good, master goal, if you will. um, Extended fasts, like I said, can be more beneficial if you're trying to do, more extreme cancer therapies, or if you're like really, really trying to get rid of a stubborn gut infection with SIBO, then maybe you could do more than 3 days. But for most people, you're going to see all the benefits that you want to in a 3-day fast. So similar to, like I said, similar to master cleanse, you're just drinking this for 3 days. It's going to give you a little bit of amino acids and electrolytes just to stabilize you, so you're not getting like super, super hangry. And it's also going to help like kind of heal your gut in the process. And yeah, just being able to like drink something honestly just makes fasting a lot easier, because it's just something to do with your hands even. Helps like fix the habit of like, oh, I want to go get something to eat, or I want to grab something to drink, or I want to grab something with flavor. Then the bone broth can make it easier to get it through. But the fact that bone broth is mostly protein, it's not going to interrupt your blood sugar, and you're still going to be able to get, optimal liver detox out of it. Some additional, I don't think we skipped a slide here. Hold on. All right, well, we're just going to free bullet then. So the 24-hour fast on here, it says water only fast, because you literally just drink water for 24 hours. So how I usually do this is I usually go noon to noon. So if you go from lunchtime to lunchtime, it's truly 24 hours. Because what a lot of people will do is they will eat dinner, go to bed, not eat the whole next day, and then go to bed again. That's technically longer than 24 hours. That's getting it up to more like 36, which is totally fine. It's just harder to go 36 hours than it is 24. So I encourage people like get up, have a big hearty breakfast, and then just like stop eating after like a big hearty breakfast, and then just don't eat till that time the next day, so that it's truly a 24-hour fast. Because especially if it's the first time that you're doing it, like it's gonna be hard. Your brain is pre-wired to go to the 3 meals a day, or it's, pre-wired to go to the snack drawer at certain times or whatever. So like, having at least like a good hearty breakfast helps your brain kind of combat some of those cravings and things that are going to occur. But, in 24 hours, you can definitely see a huge reduction in bloating. The thing I learned the most from it is how much I eat when I'm not really hungry, like how much I eat out of obligation, right? Like, oh, it's dinner time, so I should eat dinner. Well, what if I'm not hungry for dinner? What if I ate like a big lunch and a big breakfast and I just don't feel like it? Well, you don't have to eat dinner. Um, and yeah, I mean, the first time I did 24-hour cleanse, I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't really care about dinner. I'd rather just eat the first two meals and then do some of my fasting during that time. So I think it really like teaches you a lot about your food habits and how much you're actually hungry versus you're just eating for other reasons, whether that be obligation or emotions. Um, yeah, because a lot of people will just eat because they're tired or emotional, as opposed to eating because you're actually needing food. So that was like the main things that I learned from doing a 24-hour water only fast. And with water only fast, you can have electrolytes like the elements and things like that because those are just going to be salt. Uh, and honestly, even when I did it too, I was surprised at how good my exercise capacity actually was during the 24 hours, which I thought that I was going to be really struggling. Because I was like, oh, I think maybe I'm kind of hypoglycemic or maybe I'm not going to do very well. And we went for like a really long hike and I was like, I feel amazing. So again, it kind of teaches you like, wow, before I would have been like, oh, I definitely need to eat before or after that hike. Like I have to have food. But I was like, no, my body's completely capable of doing it on its own without, eating so many extra snacks. Like your brain is pre-wired to think like, I have to have a snack because I'm exercising, or I have to have this because I'm exercising. 24 hours, 4-hour fast really teaches you that. And then as I said, if you want to be more extreme, you can go past the 24 hours, into like the 3-day water only fasts or beyond. But really, 3 days is where you kind of hit the peak capacity for, detox benefits. And then after that, I would only go longer than 3 days if you have an extreme gut infection or if you're trying to battle cancer. Otherwise, these aforementioned strategies are really just going to bring you like the mental clarity, decreased bloating, less inflammation, all of those things that you really want to see from the fasting. And all of them are going to give your liver a break, which is really the kind of main point of this month. Uh, Another strategy that you can add in, even during these fasting times is doing coffee enemas. So coffee enemas always sound scarier than they actually are. So I'm going to show you guys a picture of the kit that's involved with this. But some of the benefits of coffee enemas: number one, it improves peristalsis. So what this means is it actually helps to retrain your large intestine. So a lot of people that have been, for example, constipated for a really long time, it overly stretches out your colon muscles and then they don't fire properly and contract to help expel material out of the system. So by filling the system with water, it really helps to induce a contraction and can actually help to rebuild those gut muscles over time. It reduces toxicity because it flushes your liver and a gallbladder pretty aggressively. It can really boost your glutathione, like that antioxidant we were talking about in the last video. It can help with weight loss just because weight loss is easier when your liver is happier, honestly. And it just flushes any excess material out of the colon. And some people, especially if you've really been constipated or backed up, you can have a lot of material in there. It does really help with boosting the immune system because it significantly empties the bile from our gallbladder, and the bile is an antimicrobial, so it can help eliminate parasites, it can help eliminate yeast, it can help kill any bugs that maybe you've been exposed to that are in the large intestine. Definitely improves mental clarity just because there's less toxins being reabsorbed through your bowels when you flush it all out. um, so yeah, it definitely can decrease bloating for the same reason. Like I said, it eliminates any excess material that's left over in the guts. And honestly, the first time that you do, and you're kind of surprised at how much is in there, even if you're not constipated. Um, and then all of this can definitely help improve energy levels. But this is what the kit looks like that I promote and that I use. So it's called a Pure Life coffee enema kit. It is for the Gerson cancer therapy. So it comes with the blue book where it will give you all the instructions on how to go through um, the coffee enema. But what you do is you hang these metal buckets in your shower, and then gravity actually will pull the coffee from the metal bucket through the white tube into the tiny red tube and, into your rectum. That tiny red tube is smaller than your pinky. It's very, very small. Usually just use a little bit of coconut oil to, insert it. Um, it comes with the mold-free coffee, so I always recommend like getting the kit with the coffee that comes with it because you don't want to just be using grocery store coffee and putting mold spores up your booty. So definitely make sure that you're getting the kit that comes with the high quality mold-free coffee. But like I said, overall, it's a lot gentler than you think because you think enema and you just think of a hose being shoved up there and turned on blast. It's very gentle. There's like just a tiny, tiny hole in the bottom of that red tube where there's just like a very small flow of coffee that comes out. And then it just like gradually fills up your intestine. And you just try to hold it in there for as long as you can, anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. And then you just use the restroom. You lay in the shower to do it in case of any, accident things happening. But it's really not as bad as it looks, and it is a huge relief for a lot of people. Like I said, especially if you have long-standing constipation problems, it can really help to rebuild your gut muscles very quickly. Kind of on a similar note to rebuilding the gut muscles is it actually does help with strengthening the pelvic floor muscles as well. Because as you lay there with like liquid in your colon and you're trying to keep it in there and keep from going to the bathroom, it does really engage all the muscles in your pelvic floor. So it is really good for any type of involuntary muscle, is what we call it, training that involuntary muscle because it's harder to do it with your brain just telling it to contract. It's easier for it to contract because there's something there. A lot of people, it will help with, menstrual pain relief because a lot of menstrual cramps is caused from like excess material in the bowels. So if we can get that excess material out, you're going to have less pain and cramping. You can have clearer skin and just overall feel better when there's not just a bunch of gunk in there. So there's a lot of really positive benefits to the coffee enemas, and yeah, it's definitely a popular like cancer therapy addition because it does such positive things for your antioxidants and for your immune system. I have a lot of people that will do coffee enemas anytime they feel like they're getting sick, just because it will be like an immediate immune boost and flush anything that you've been exposed to out of your gut faster. Because really, even if you get exposed to like a common cold or virus, it gets in your nose, you swallow it, and then it gets into your gut, right? Like I said, 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So if you can flush any bacteria that you're exposed to out quicker, then you're less likely to be sick as long. All right, so the last part of the liver series here, we do want to just chit chat about alcohol. I've probably said it more than once, but alcohol is a poison. It is there's no health benefit, unfortunately. Really sorry if you guys think like, oh, red wine's healthy for you. It's like, okay, yeah, resveratrol is healthy for you, which is in the skin of grapes. Eat the grapes. There's really no like redeeming quality to alcohol. It does like negatively affect your brain, your blood sugar, your hormones, your gut microbiome. It's poisonous to every tissue in your body. But I am also a realist, and I know that, I have not given up alcohol forever, and I know a lot of you guys are not going to give up alcohol forever, right? So we want to go over some strategies just to make that use less or safer or like less abusive to our system. Okay. So if you're wanting to just decrease your alcohol use in general, there is an app called Reframe. That is something my husband and I have used, and it's just kind of reteaching your brain, kind of like fasting does, where it's like, okay, do I actually need this? Do I actually want this? Is it actually bringing me joy? Like, why am I reaching for it? And kind of teaches you at least to, use it for the right reasons or use it in moderation so that you're not overdoing it. So that is like a good brain strategy if you're struggling with decreasing alcohol usage. So what is a damaging amount of alcohol? Because I have a lot of people that say, well, like, I only have like a couple drinks, but I do it every night of the week, or oh, I only drink on the weekends. Okay, but then I'm drinking like 10 a day, whatever. Heavy drinking is considered 2 to 3 drinks a day, and it does increase your risk for every single type of cancer when you're drinking this much. And you do even just decreasing it by like a drink a day is going to be beneficial for your long-term health if you're in some of these like heavier drinking categories, right? So I think especially for people that go out late on the weekends, it's really easy to get into these 4 or more drinks a day or 5 or more drinks a day kind of a thing. So we really want to come up with ways to either decrease the amount of days that we're drinking or the amount of beverages that we're consuming. Because, like I said, it's poison. It destabilizes your blood sugar for about 4 days, makes you crave carbs because you have to have carbs to digest alcohol. Like I have a family member that came out of rehab and just like eats an obscene amount of desserts. And it's like, yes, because your liver has to have like so much sugar to like get some of that stuff out of the system. And it just, yeah, it just really cranks your sugar cravings to a point that, your brain almost can't combat it. You can't consciously be like, oh, I'm not going to eat that sugar because it's like your body's just telling you, like, no, we need that sugar for survival. We need that sugar to get the poison out of our system. So it will just really, overwhelm you. And if the calories from drinking don't make you gain weight, a lot of times the carb cravings for sugar after drinking will make you gain weight if the alcohol doesn't. So some of the effects of alcohol on the system, right? So we all just think about like, oh, like our liver, we're gonna have alcoholic liver, but there are a lot of other issues. So it can decrease nitric oxide, which is how we get oxygen delivered to our tissue. Like I said, it can kill bacteria in your large intestine that you need for absorbing nutrients. It really makes you crave sugar in order to detox it. It can be very, very damaging to our esophagus or our intestinal wall and cause leaky gut. It hugely causes destabilization of mood. Alcohol is a depressant, and that's because while it makes you happy while you're drinking it, the after effect is a complete depletion of a lot of like your dopamine and other happy neurotransmitters. Um, it can lead to irregular heartbeats because it depletes a lot of your B vitamins. It is a huge issue with weightlifting because it does deplete your muscle. It's like alcohol eats your muscle. So if you want to build muscle, it's definitely going to be working against you to be drinking. It's like the leading cause of pancreatitis, can definitely increase estrogen levels and make people estrogen dominant. Like I said, definitely either makes you gain weight or the carb cravings after make you gain weight. Uh, and then, yeah, it's carcinogenic, meaning it can cause cancer. It produces a lot of carcinogenic compounds. A lot of times make people look older because it starts to damage your cells. It damages your DNA. And when you stop drinking, then your DNA can actually like heal properly. And a lot of times people will like look younger when they stop drinking because their DNA starts working better again. So it just really it causes issues in every body system, not just your liver. And we've all heard like, oh, you can have a drink an hour and still be able to drive, but that doesn't mean that it's like completely out of your system in that day, in that hour, right? Like there still are after effects that your body's dealing with till after that. So I mean, these are like the different tests that they use to see how long to get it out of the system. So you can see, it is harbored in different systems of the body for longer than an hour, like they tell you. But yes, this is like I said, alcohol is a huge cause of depression because it really just depletes all of your happy neurotransmitters such as dopamine. Like while you're drinking, you get the spike, and then it's like you just get like a huge withdrawal for the following days afterwards. And then again, usually that makes people grab sugar more because they want the sugar to bring the dopamine back up to make them happy again. So a couple strategies for either decreasing or eliminating alcohol is mocktails. Um, like this is something like my husband and I really, really like beer. Um, but like I just had a baby and I was pregnant for a while and then my husband decided to kind of like stop drinking as well. So like he hasn't had alcohol in over 6 months and the non-alcoholic beers were really very helpful for us. Even at Meyer now they have a whole aisle of like all different kinds of microbrews. You can get stouts, you can get Guinness, you can get IPAs, you can get blondes, you can get these hop waters. Like there's a lot of really good non-alcoholic beers. And even when you give them to beer drinkers, a lot of times they can't tell that it's even non-alcoholic because they're really that good. So you're not just stuck with the old generic brands of the non-alcoholic beer anymore. You can get a lot of the funner beers and funner drinks with it. Another one we have in this photo is just kombucha. So kombucha is a fermented tea. It has like a 0.5% alcohol volume, but I feel like it gives you that bubbles and it gives you the fermented flavor, kind of like beer does, where it makes you feel like you're drinking alcohol. You can also, put it in fun glasses. Like my mom and my aunts and some of us joke like when we're not drinking, we put all of our drinks in wine glasses to make it feel like we're drinking wine, even though we're not. But it's like this weird thing that does to your brain, and it makes you feel like you're still having a treat because it's in a wine glass. So you can get kombucha in a lot of different fun flavors and just put it in a fancy cup, make it look like a cocktail. Even the elements. If you go to their website, they have a lot of like mocktail recipes that you can make with the electrolyte salts. On the upper right here, there's one kind of German wine that is non-alcoholic that I think is good. I've tried a lot of non-alcoholic wines. Most of them are disgusting. But this one German brand is pretty good. We get it from the Spirit Shop by us. And the rituals are one example of a non-alcoholic liquor. None of them are good on the rocks. If you guys find a good non-alcoholic one that's good on the rocks, please let me know. But a lot of them you can again make the mocktails, right? Like you can make a dark and stormy. Like we bought the rum and we put it with ginger beer, and it did taste like a dark and stormy. But definitely don't just try to drink it by itself. And then the lower left here is called Curious Elixirs. That's another fun, like summer fruity mocktail brand. They're made with like adaptogenic mushrooms and like ashwagandha and stuff, just to give you like a calming effect from drinking them without the booze. But again, you can make them look fancy and kind of make it look like a fun cocktail, and then you still get the calming effect. So those are a lot of my favorites for non-alcoholic options or strategies. I know what my mom a lot of times will do at restaurants is she'll just order a club soda with bitters. A lot of people just order club soda with like a splash of juice. So those are some of the things you can do if you're going out. But honestly, a lot of bars have really gotten up, at least on the non-alcoholic beer section. So a lot of times you can get non-alcoholic beer at those places. And, even in our small town, there's a couple restaurants that have mocktail menus. Like we have a place up in Lexington called the Windjammer, and they have like a whole NA cocktail menu. So, it doesn't hurt to look. Even when you're out at different places, you might be able to find some non-alcoholic fun drink options to satisfy your cravings or make things more fun. So those are some of our strategies that we use for decreasing or eliminating alcohol. So I hope that is helpful for other strategies for you guys for optimizing liver health.